Thank you. Cam, Mateus from Time Out Brazil.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Doing well, doing well.
Congratulations for going for the NFL draft and for having the pro day in all your career in Michigan. Talk with other like special team players like kickers, punters, long snappers. They all kind of have the same feeling about the draft is different for us. Like we don't expect like high picks on us,
Mhm.
but we only need one shot to prove what we
Absolutely.
can do. Do you think that's the mindset you're bringing for the NFL? Like maybe not going drafted, but having a chance to prove that you can do in the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that specialists, that there is that stigma like specialists typically won't get drafted. But I think specialist kickers, punters, snappers, they have to go in with the mindset that they're going to be a first round pick. I think you have to go in with that idea that I'm going to give it everything I have with the hopes of getting drafted. And then if I don't get drafted, then I'm going to give it everything I have on whichever team gives me an opportunity and go in and compete to win a job. With our position, it's very unique because there is only 32 of that position, give or take. A few guys may make a practice squad here and there, but typically there's only 32 spots. So when it comes down to it, there really is a next level of competition for our position. And I think a lot of guys, I mean, it's common for, all specialists to take 2, 3, 4. I mean, I've heard guys taking up to 8 years just to make a team in the NFL. So I think you have to go in with a mindset from the time your last game in college is all the way until you are the guy. But even after that, your position's never safe. You have to go in with that, I have to work every day to prove that I should be the guy for this spot. And I think, when it comes time to find a team that, you feel fits your play the best, if you don't get drafted, then I think, you got to make a name for yourself there and wherever that may take you, honestly.
And just a quick follow up, like quarterbacks, running backs, receivers always hear about NFL models, players that like they have like an inspiration. How that work for you? Like what long snapper you see in the NFL today they really like to see play, or former NFL players that you really like to watch some tape?
Yeah. A guy who I always watched throughout my college career was Morgan Cox, who's actually on the Titans now. But he was a guy that, us here at Michigan, we really use the Ravens, their punt team, field goal, everything. I feel like we try to model our stuff off of them. So I always feel like he was a guy I wanted to base my play off of because he is one of the best in the NFL and one of the best long snappers to ever do it. So I think I always based my college career play off of him and the way that he blocked because, here at Michigan, we do run the pro style punt. Which is very unique. Only, maybe 5% or less of teams in college football do that. And I think being able to find a role model like that, who you can, use their style of play and see if it transitions to college, I think that's very important. So I always try to model my play off of him. So he was one of the guys.
Thanks a lot and good luck on the process.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next question for you is from Angelique.
Hello.
Got to unmute Angelique.
I did. Okay. No, I was just saying, you said you want to make a name for yourself, with an NFL team, but is that sort of counterintuitive? Like you realize long snapper, you don't want people to notice you. And do you think you were successful not being noticed at Michigan? I don't know how else to word it, but that's my.
Yeah. So when I say like make a name for yourself, I'm really saying like you want teams, I feel like it's different. You have those who are outside the sport and then you have those who are inside, like let's say a special teams coordinator, and there's a whole different specialist, I guess you could say, like world out there. And, being able to market yourself to where you are known around the league and that you can become, a reliable guy that they can count on, especially outside of the football building and outside the NFL on a street level basis. Yes, you're correct. You do not want to be known. Your name, the more your name is known by the fans and stuff like that, usually it's a sign that you aren't doing the best, unless you are, helping out your community. I know Nick Sundberg from Washington. He was always one of those guys. He was their team's Walter Payton Man of the Year, and that's a guy that everyone knows who he is. But it's you make a great name for yourself off the field, and I think that's also something that a lot of players may not take seriously. But building a foundation off the field is something that helps make a name for yourself as well.
Can I ask a second question, Dave? Is that okay?
Second or third? Sure.
Yeah, you worked a lot with Quinn. There's always a knock on his fieriness. How would you evaluate Quinn as a kicker and what he brings?
I definitely think Quinn is one of the strongest legs I've ever seen, from going to camps and doing all types of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I've never been around a guy that's more dedicated and motivated to achieve something as I've seen out of him. I mean, he was always pushing me. I think even in my freshman year, he knew what I was capable of, and even being a teammate my age, he was always supportive. And I think he definitely brings that. And even as he transitioned to his last couple of years in Michigan, he really tried to take on a big leadership role, because he knew, like many of us seniors, what it takes to win games and to be able to have a chance to, do great things. And I think he did a great job trying to lead. And I think he'll definitely, be able to do that wherever he ends up next in the next month or so.
Next question is from Aaron McMahon.
Cam, how does a long snapper prepare for the NFL draft?
So for me, it's all, every position is unique, of course, but as far as for me, when I found out, it's time to get going, after, because even though I did not play last season, it really just started in the weight room. And I think the biggest thing for me to learn individually, once you leave college, it's about, you have to take it upon yourself to train. You don't have strength coaches, you don't have position coaches pushing you anymore. You have to take upon yourself to show up in the weight room, to start running, and you have to find a way to organize your time effectively, to where you're getting the most, but you're not, overdoing it. So for me, there was the three components. I had to lift, I had to run, and I had to snap. So for a snapper, I think the biggest thing that will transition to the NFL is your strength and being able to block guys who are 6'6", 280-pound D linemen that are fast, but also, strong. So I think being able to increase my strength and increase my footwork alongside that, with running and small, lateral movements, definitely will help me in the next level. And then, of course, you're snapping. With snapping, everyone's different. Everybody has the ways they warm up and how they practice. But yeah, so I was usually traveling. I was down in Florida, Arizona, just getting into the warmth. I know during the winter it could be tough trying to snap outside in the snow, but I was fortunate enough to be able to go into some warmer environments, snap with some punters and some kickers, and really, immerse myself in that, live rep atmosphere. So it's always try to stay, occupied, and try to do something that's going to benefit you every day, I guess, no matter what it is, if it's your diet or stretching, stuff like that.
Your decision to opt out this past season, was that directly related to getting ready for the draft, or was something else?
No, nope. So actually, it all came down to a financial decision. After I came back to Michigan in the summer, I did not have a scholarship. And at the time when I made that decision, the Big Ten, actually, that was right when they canceled the season for the fall. So they canceled the season. There was no guarantee for a spring or anything. And I didn't have a scholarship. So my family had to make the tough decision that I was just going to go back home and start preparing for the NFL draft. And then when I got home, a month or so later, they brought the season back, but I was already home, already moved on. But yeah, it was all a financial decision. I wanted to come back and play my fifth year more than anything. That was the goal from my last game against Alabama. I wanted to come back from a fifth year, get ready to go, but that's just the way things worked out, and I could only do so much from there.
Next question for you is from Angelique again.
Cam, I don't know when you started playing football, but when you did you have a goal of being a long snapper?
So I started playing football when I was 8 years old. And I was always one of the bigger kids. You know, I was over the weight limit to run the ball. I was always playing the line, offense, defensive line. So I played Pee Wee League, you know, from 8 years old, played middle school football. When I got to high school, my best friend from back home, Tanner Harding, he's actually a kicker at Notre Dame College. He was like, you know, you play center, like you can snap the ball, it's just a little bit further. So you know, he practiced with me, and I was the long snapper for the JV team my sophomore and junior year. You know, I didn't take it serious. I didn't even know you could play it in college, honestly. I didn't know there was a specific spot for that. And then going into my senior year, I knew I was going to be the starting long snapper for the high school varsity team. So I was like, I should probably find a coach. So I found a local coach named Gar Chapelier in Columbus, and we started working. He was like, you got the size, you know, if you want to do this in college. So I just kept working, went to some college camps, ended up, you know, getting ranked pretty high, and got invited to the Semper Fidelis All-American game. And I guess my career just took off from there because I originally wanted to play baseball. I was a pitcher. And I thought I was going to play baseball in college, but my senior year came around. I was like, I think I'm going to go a little bit further in football. But it ended up working out, and we're here.
My second question is, are you going to pursue dental school at some point? Is that?
Yeah. So I actually got accepted into both Michigan and Ohio State's dental schools for next year's class. And I'm currently, you know, I have that there, but right now I'm going to give everything I have for football right now. I don't care if it takes me 3, 4, if I'm in the NFL for 15 years, dental school, I can always reapply. You know, I have my Michigan degree. I can always go back and study to get back in. I don't worry about that. But right now, you know, football, I'm going to give us everything I have the next few months, you know, and if I have multiple coaches telling me, look, it's not going to work out this year, you know, just not looking good, then perhaps I'll go to dental school the next year or so. But I'm going to get football an honest chance until it looks like it's not going to work out for me.
Next question for you is from Abby Snyder.
Hi. So you
Hello.
mentioned earlier kind of making a name for yourself in the community, helping out. That's something a lot of special teams guys in the NFL are sometimes known for. Is that something that's important to you? That's something you want to do if and when you get to the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. I know always with me wanting to pursue dental school, in order to get into dental school, they like to see volunteering. And, you know, you think it's like one of those things where like, I already have a busy schedule. Like I don't have time to do this. But I always found a way, you know, in one way or another to, whether it was I fed homeless people at a shelter down here in Ann Arbor, visit the children at Mott's Hospital. But I think, you know, once I get to the next level, I think being able to find different ways, because once you get there, you have football, you don't have school. And I think being able to use your platform at that level is something that a lot of people, you know, need to do. And especially it's something I would like to do. And that is giving back to whichever community I end up at, playing professional football. So I'd definitely want to help out in any way I can.
Is there a particular issue you want to help out with, like homelessness?
Right now, I'm pretty much open to anything. You know, I feel like as I get into, you know, wherever team or whatever location I'm at, I'll definitely, you know, explore different options. But, you know, with me always wanting to be in the healthcare, I always enjoyed going to the Veterans Hospital, stuff like that, and being around, you know, people who like enjoy help and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Next question is from Rayner.
Yeah, you talked about watching the Baltimore Ravens. How much of an influence is their game plan exactly copied by Michigan, and how much of an influence are they over what Michigan does?
Yeah, I would say we more or less use like their punt scheme because, like I said earlier, the pro style punt system is not used very much by college teams. So for us being able to model, you know, the way the guards, the way the tackles, the way the wings are set up, maybe ways they may motion guys, maybe directional punts, stuff like that. That was basically like what we kind of used. But also we used other teams as well. I can't name a lot off the top of my head, but that was something our coaches did, was they watched professional teams because that's the scheme we ran. So they were able to evaluate every week what worked for NFL teams, what didn't work. And we were able to use that info to help our punt unit on Saturdays.
John Harbaugh obviously is a special teams guy. That's where he came from before becoming a coach. But is Jim as interested in special teams? I mean, do you get the sense that Coach Harbaugh at Michigan is as interested in that aspect of the game?
Absolutely. The funny thing is I remember the practices where, it's field goal or punt, and let's say we're just kicking an extra point, and I look down between my legs, and he's about 3 feet away from the holder, and all I see is his khakis. I'm just like, he's 100% invested in all the things we did for special teams, and it was greatly appreciated. There was a time where, how I was lining up, like I pulled the ball back slightly just to get my laces corrected. I may turn the ball around, and he was curious, and he would ask me, and it was always good because he was always wanting to learn as well. And that was a great thing, because even though you're a coach, you may think coaches, they know everything, but honestly, they want to learn as much as you do. And I think Coach Harbaugh, he did a great job with that, trying to, learn every position, learn everything, the way the game's evolving. And I think, that showed in practices and games.
And out of curiosity, when you're watching the videos, I guess of Baltimore, is it a coach talking in the video, kind of instructing, and if so, is that John Harbaugh?
I'm not really sure. I don't know, but yeah, he's always, like Coach Harbaugh, always wants to hear about like what we're doing. We always work together with him, because at the end of the day, when it comes fourth down, like he was always, one to, make the decision of what we're going to do. And I think we did a great job with that. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? If you do have a question, I'll wait for just another minute. Actually, Angelique's back again, so.
No, Cam, I was just curious, when you're working with a kicker, and you're snapping, do you have to learn, how do you learn their tendencies? What are they looking for from you, and how do you adapt to that?
I would say the two things that the kickers want, and even punters, is the location. They want the location to be on, especially for a kicker, wants the ball right over the spot, and then they want the laces out. Excuse me. So those are the two things they want. As far as, learning their different tendencies, I think something that we always tried to emphasize was us always being on the same page. That means our cadence was always consistent. So they knew, like the kicker knew when the ball was coming, the holder knew when the ball was coming. And we even found ways to coach each other in meetings. It wasn't just like when the kicker's being coached that everyone else just sits back. It was maybe if the punter's punting or I'm snapping, everyone would give their input, and we were all open to hearing what they had to say. Because, at the end of the day, we're one unit, so we were all coming together and we wanted the best out of each other. And if you weren't satisfied with how somebody was doing, we weren't afraid to, speak up and like, let them know, like, let's go, like, let's pick it up. And I mean, that's how we're always one. So we got to ride through together.
The last question here for you is from Owen.
Hey Cam,
How's it going?
for a long snapper, there's more to the position than just snapping. I mean, you got to be able to get down the field, tackle often speedy returners. How important is that aspect of the position to make a good long snapper, and how much are NFL teams looking for that?
Yeah, so a lot of times in college, you'll see snappers of all different sizes. You'll have guys who are, 5'10", 160, or guys who are 6'5", 280. I mean, it's all over the place. So I think it all begins with your, what your body looks like. And especially NFL teams, they want a snapper who practically looks like a linebacker. They want a guy who they know has the footwork. They're athletic enough to have a great block and kick set. And they're able to hold on a D lineman long enough to get the punt off. And then, like you said, when it's time to go make a tackle, they want a guy who can escape, run downfield 40, 50, 60 yards and be athletic enough to make a tackle. And I think today's age, the NFL is leaning more towards a linebacker-esque type of snapper where they're able to, be that, 10th coverage guy, excluding the punter. But yeah, it's definitely important. And I feel like at Michigan, for me, they weren't too serious about me, getting downfield and making a tackle unless it was completely necessary. We had great athletes, but for us running the pro style here, my number one responsibility was to snap, and then second responsibility was to block. But I definitely think moving forward, that is something that, can separate snappers at the next level. And I think that's something I want to improve on as well. So.